All right, it is time. This is Infinite Investment Game. I'm talking about alternative investments and collectibles. And, you know, before I get in, please like, comment, and subscribe. And please don't take this as particularly investment advice. This is for entertainment purposes. And also, hopefully, you can take this and become a better collector. But also, if you do want to look at things as far as investing purposes, you can really be ahead of the game and just really understand the markets and better your decision making. All right, so a lot of people, I really want to talk about ultra high end. People think ultra high end is really safe. That's only true if you're really talking about vintage and you're talking about stuff that is extremely rare. We're talking about 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan autograph card, or BGS 10 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan card, or his stickers autograph, and it's a very high grade and authenticated by Beckett. Probably Beckett is better to do it with than PSA, particularly for those kind of cards. But and that's another video of why I think Beckett is better for collectors, and I think Beckett is better for thicker cards and certain type of autographs and authentications for those. But and also relics as well. But I digress. So you saw the thumbnail. You saw that Patrick Mahomes, his ultra high end card, sold for $1 million on September 18th, 2021, and then beginning of 2022. It's a BGS 9.5 that sold for that much, and a 9 sold for 576,000. But another 9.5 sold for $480,000. So in just 9 months, the card has went down by half, or a little bit less than by 55%. And it's kind of part of, there's multiple reasons because of that. People are starting to discover that Patrick Mahomes may not be the next Tom Brady, and he may not be the second best quarterback ever. Maybe he wins 2 Super Bowls, but it's not like he's going to win 5, 6, 7 Super Bowls. That's an anomaly, and only guys like that come around every 20 years. You had Joe Montana. I guess in the 70s you had Terry Bradshaw. But what's going on in ultra, especially in modern and ultra modern, these ultra high end cards, unless you're going to be the greatest of all time, or unless you're going to be top 5 ever in the sport, and football, I guess, is position specifically quarterback, your card shouldn't be demanding $1 million, and that stuff is going to crash. So all these people who are spending all of this money on Anthony Edwards, Anthony Edwards may be a phenomenal player. He may be a 10-time All-Star, but if he doesn't have 10 All NBAs, and they're all second and third team, then you're gonna have a bit of a problem. If Luka doesn't become the next Larry Bird, really, I think some people think he's gonna be next LeBron James, but he doesn't become top 5 all time, and he's number 19. The person who spent $4 million for his card, I believe it's not even a 1-on-1. I think it was out of 2. That kind of card will probably go down in price. So I think these are things to really consider. And people do this for every rookie class. We've seen this with the Mac Jones, sold for $100,000. And I think somebody got it graded, and maybe it's sold again for $125,000. And then somebody was trying to sell for $176,000. Cool. Matt Jones may be a great quarterback, but I think people are betting that he's going to be the next, I don't know, Tom Brady. Maybe, but more likely than not, that will not happen. And also, even if he's the next Drew Brees, his prices shouldn't command that. And you have to look at players who every single year there's new players coming in. Every decade you're going to have new players, especially for basketball. Guys who are going to move into that spot of top 15 ever. You can look at Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and LeBron James, who are drafted guys. Look at all the guys drafted from 2000 to 2009. Three of those guys moving in the top 15, right? From 2010 to, let's say, 2020, 21, roughly 10 years, you're probably going to have two to three guys that are moving in the top 15. So if the guy you're going with is going to be in the top, like in the top 25, or they're 25, or they're 20, they're going to be guys, especially if you're holding this stuff for 40 years. And 40 years, your guy who is number 20 all time, maybe number 35 all time, maybe number 40 all time. And the gains with that card, you may not necessarily get. And ultra high end is really gambling. You're gambling a lot of money on, most of the time, guys who haven't even like finished their career. They're not even 10 years in their career. I wouldn't even think about spending big money on guys until they're at least, 10 years in their career. And Giannis is starting to get to that point where he's interesting to put big money into, because he has 2 MVPs. He has a final MVP and a championship and defensive player of the year. And he's been going to all NBA teams for a little bit now. If you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on Jason Tatum, you may make a mistake, because maybe he's the next Tracy McGrady. Great. Tracy McGrady got hurt. He never got, he's not going to beat him because he never even got out of the first round of playoffs. But, or at least until he was hurt and Yao Ming bailed him out. But you have to look at these things. And if you're spending 6 figures for a player who hasn't won a championship or a Super Bowl or a World Series, or in soccer, a World Cup, or a championship in their league, you're wasting your money. You're really gambling. Don't even call it, oh, I'm investing, I'm being smart. Just saying, I got a bunch of money, I want to gamble. That's what you're doing. And that stuff isn't really safe, because that stuff is going to decrease in value. One, because everything was overinflated, but also just because you're not going to, you have to look at the expectations for these people. And when they first come in their rookie year, the expectations are through the moon. Like, everybody's going to be an all-time great, right? They score 50 points in a game. They throw 3 or 4 touchdowns in a game. They win their first playoff game as a rookie. And he throws so many yards and all this other stuff. A lot of times that happens is because defenses in the league haven't really caught up onto the person. They haven't figured them out. They haven't spent much time like preparing for this person, and as time goes on, they prepare for them. So you have to look at that. And then, Patrick Mahomes is vulnerable right now. You could see the possibility of Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, people like that. They could be very, very vulnerable, and their card prices could definitely decrease. Same, because there's only going to be 1% of cards in the ultra high end that are going to be actually worth it. Everything else is going to tumble down, and people are going to lose a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, if Andrew Wiggins, and I'm happy that Andrew Wiggins is doing good, but if Andrew Wiggins, for example, decided to hey, it was 2014 and people were buying Andrew Wiggins cards, guess what? People would probably be spending 6 figures for his cards. Maybe somebody was probably spend $1 million for his card. And if things played out today, they would have lost a lot of money. So that's something to think about. Most players are going to be busts that come through the draft. And most players that actually are going to be good, they're going to be all pro, all stars, stuff like that. but they're not going to be all-time great where, I mean, you can look at sports all the time. In football, there's Ben Roethlisberger and Drew Brees. Most people don't really care about. When prices dip, they're like, oh, I got to buy Drew Brees or Ben Roethlisberger. Most of the time, that doesn't happen unless they're from that city or they're just diehard fans or whatever. You know, Same for basketball. Most people aren't going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to buy John Stockton cards. Even though he's all time in assists and steals, they're not going crazy like that. Even cards that are expensive and guys are all time greats like Akeem Olajuwon in very special set and the punt from Gary V. PSA 10 Akeem Olajuwon's only through Pop 300 or something for $5,000. With all that, Gary V, 1986 Fleer, top 15 all time, and also very successful outside of basketball. So you have to look at that. Even baseball, Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens should be more expensive than that. But guess what? I mean, there's this whole steroid allegations and things such as that. So if you're buying ultra high end and you spend hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars now, especially on guys who are still playing, outside of LeBron, for basketball, and maybe Curry, and maybe outside of Tom Brady, outside of, for baseball, maybe Mike Trout, you are gambling. You're probably going to be wrong. Maybe outside of, or six figures, outside of Messi and Ronaldo, and outside of, Pele, until I'm still playing, any sport, right? Outside of maybe Lewis Hamilton, outside of for UFC, I mean, nobody's spending that much for a card, but you get my point. Like, that stuff is not safe and it's going to come tumbling down. Let me know what else you want me to talk about in the future, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Peace.